So we want to use Node.js, and the first important step is that we install it. And for that, you have to visit nodejs.org. There you find an installer. In my case here, it picked the right one for my operating system, Mac OS, but you will also find a version for Windows if you're visiting this page on Windows, or you manually choose a different version. And you can, of course, follow along no matter which operating system you're using. The code you write and the steps you need to take to install Node.js are exactly the same. You simply download the latest version here, and you then simply save it anywhere and run the installer this gives you. Now simply follow through all the steps which are mentioned in the installer, accept the license agreement, and so on. So simply click through that, install it on your machine, and once this completed, you already got everything you will need to write Node.js code. So this is super fast, it's done here. You can close this now. And now, how do we use Node.js? Well, the easiest way of using it is to open up your local terminal, or on Windows, PowerShell, or the command prompt. In that terminal, as a first step, simply run node-v, like this. This should show you the version of Node.js you installed. Now, with that being executed, you can now use Node, just like that, to enter a special input mode, the so-called REPL, I'll come back to that, where you can execute code and have it parsed by Node on the fly. You can use this as a calculator, simply type 2 + 2 to see the result, or you can write whole JavaScript programs there. Now, I won't do that, so you can quit it with Ctrl-C. And instead, let's write a real script which we can execute with Node.js so that we can also see what we can do with it. For that, create a new folder anywhere on your computer and open that folder in your favorite IDE or code editor. Now here, I am using Visual Studio Code. You can find that on code.visualstudio.com. This is a great IDE which I strongly recommend using. It's free. It is really built for usage with JavaScript code. It will work great, and you can simply download it from this page, as I said, for free. Simply walk through the installer. It's also available for Windows and so on. Walk through the installer it gives you, and then once it is installed, simply start it and open that new folder you created somewhere on your computer. This will be your project folder for this very first quick app or script we're going to write. Now, your Visual Studio Code might look a bit different. I'm in full screen mode, which is why you don't see any menu items here at the top. And I also got two important things installed here. The first one is the theme, and you can hit Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P on Windows to go to that quick command interface here. And there, if you type theme, then you can go to the preferences color theme and choose which theme you want to use. And I'm using the dark plus theme here. So if you want to get the exact same coloring, you can choose that. And I also installed an extension. You can view the extension menu by going to View Extensions. Or if you have on the left a menu, you can also click on the Extensions tab there. But View Extensions will do, or the shortcut you see there. And there I installed the Material Icon theme. This theme here. I already got that installed, and this gives me some special file icons and so on. You don't need that, you just can use it if you want to have the exact same layout, and thereafter you can go back to the View Explorer here. Now, this is then my setup. I got a git ignore file here since I'll use git for version management. You don't need that. And with that, let's simply create a new file here with Control-N, Command-N, or by clicking that icon here. And then simply give it any name you want, like first app.js. .js is of course important because we're creating a JavaScript app here. Now in there, we can run any code Node.js is capable of executing. And for this, I will write a simple script. I will simply write console log hello from Node.js. Now you could write this in the browser too. The browser would be capable of running this, and it would log this in the JavaScript console in your browser DevTools. Now you can also execute this with Node.js though. For this, go back to your terminal or command prompt and make sure you navigate into that new folder you created with the help of CD and so on. You can alternatively also go back to Visual Studio Code, and there under View, you can open that terminal, and it will give you your default system terminal already navigated into that folder. So that's a bit more convenient. And then here you can run node, and now first-app.js, so that file name. If you now hit enter, you should see hello from Node.js here because this executes your code. And this already shows you that Node is JavaScript on your computer. This is not using a browser, it's just using the internal engine, the extended internal JavaScript engine used by the browser to execute your code locally, totally outside of a browser. And of course, we can also do more than just logging something. Let's, for example, write this text to a file. For this, we can import something from the Node.js environment. I mentioned that it would add new features to JavaScript, right? You have to import them, and I'll come back to the detailed import syntax and which features exist a little bit later. For now, just follow along to have this first quick demo and create a new constant. I'll also give you a brief refresher about constants and JavaScript in this course. And then type require fs. fs stands for file system, and this syntax simply imports some file system functionalities into this JavaScript file so that we can use these functionalities there. We can now use fs write file sync here to create a new file. And this takes a couple of arguments. And the first argument is the path where you want to store that file. And that also includes the file name. Now I want to create it in that same folder, so I will simply name it hello.txt, for example. And the second argument is the data we want to put in there. And there I will just put hello from Node.js. With this, if we now save this and we re-execute this with node first-app.js, you should have a hello text file here. And this gives you the text written in there. And this is something you couldn't do in the browser because there you can't access your local file system. And obviously it's features like this which you need to then also create a server, which we don't have at this point, by the way. This is not a website, obviously. It's just some utility script. And this is something we can do with Node.js. Now, this was a first quick demo. We'll learn all the cool features and how this works and what exactly this syntax is throughout the course, of course.